the top 10 deadliest snakes in the world.
The longest fangs of any snake in the world and the biggest yield of venom of any snake on the planet. Oh!
A man was left fighting for his life after being bitten by his own pet.
Shaking like a leaf because you are so close to death.
Launched a statewide mission to secure anti-venom and bring it here for treatment to try to save the man's life.
Okay, it's an isolated incident.
You get to determine what is our pet.
Snakes, a lizard, and a crocodile were removed from a home in Beaver County, Pennsylvania.
My Lord, a snapping turtle. Wow.
Woo, that intro was spicy. Hey everybody, welcome back. You're watching The Scaly Scoop here on Tipping Scales, your number one source for scaly news. I'm John, this is Zuko. I know I gotta bring somebody else out at some point, but he gets all excited about coming out when I'm gonna film, and I just can't say no to him. He's just patiently waiting to come out for the video. Today we're gonna talk about this video that has a lot of people very upset right now. This is April Jackson, aka the Reptile Lady, doing what she does best, educating the public on reptiles. It just so happens that she's decided to do it with a gaboon viper and a couple feet away from a bunch of kids at a school. I will do my best to present this in as fair a way as possible, but I am going to give you my opinion on some of these things as we dive into it. And what a dive it is. This video is just the tip of the iceberg, so get ready. Before we do that, if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like. And I do apologize, I am like a really overtired child right now. I haven't slept very much, and I've been working 12-hour days and trying to get through it, trying to power through, but working on that growth and healing and being in the arena and all of those things.
It's like a carousel. You pay the quarter, you get on the horse. It goes up and down and around, circular, circle, with the music, the flow. All good things.
All good things. We'll get through this. Let's get into this video. Okay, so this video was shared around the internet a couple of days ago, and it has reptile keepers and parents in general in an uproar. This video shows April Jackson free-handling a gaboon viper very close to small children at an elementary school. Several people were understandably upset with this, with many of them calling for her arrest and saying what they would do if it was their kid's school. That part of it is not okay. Please don't do that. I personally reached out to April a couple of times to get her perspective and get a comment from her, but I never heard back. So who is the Reptile Lady? Where did she come from? And what is the real story here? If you thought this one video was a topic of conversation, wait until you hear the rest of this story. It's gonna blow your mind. If the Reptile Lady sounds familiar to you, it might be because of this guy, the Reptile Man. He's been an educator for over 20 years. He's been featured on such programs as Bill Nye the Science Guy and PBS's Biz Kids. Scott Petersen, the Reptile Man, is the father of April Jackson, the Reptile Lady, and his son Isaac runs the Reptile Zoo, formerly known as the Serpentarium, in Washington State. Scott has been performing these types of programs for a long time, and it doesn't just end at elementary schools. He also does shows in the park and at children's birthday parties.
Look at his head. His head looks like a leaf. There's a line down the middle of his head.
They don't stop at gaboon vipers either. Oh no, not even close. You might need to sit down for this. In addition to Smiley, the gaboon viper, he also brings out a water moccasin, a rattlesnake, a king cobra, and a black mamba.
Oh, let's take a look at the black mamba, the world's #1 deadliest snake. Their bites are 90% fatal to humans. This snake has probably bitten me about 3 times, but I hardly felt anything. It was so fast, I didn't feel anything. I just noticed blood running down my arm. It's quite strange to be bitten by a black mamba. Can't you flash your mouth, black mamba? He's almost 10 feet long.
So how is it that this man is even still alive? Well, there is a practice now widely unaccepted by hobbyists and veterinarians, by which a venomous snake has its venom glands surgically removed. In my opinion, this is animal cruelty. It's no different than declawing or removing the vocal cords of a dog. The vast majority of veterinarians condemn this practice, and it is now nearly impossible to find someone who will actually perform this surgery. Snakes who have had this procedure done are known as venomoids. The surgery is also not 100% effective 100% of the time. In fact, anytime this procedure was performed, the owner would have to sign a document stating that if somebody was envenomated by this snake that had no venom glands, the surgeon and the practice were not held liable. To further drive that point home, here's a video of an apparent venomoid snake producing venom.
There's the next one, supposedly also venomoid.
Not venomoid.
Well, you can see this one is obviously giving something.
It's not a venomoid.
So that one is not actually venomoid.
This is similar to how a sharp knife is safer than a dull knife. If you're treating a potentially venomous snake as not venomous, you're going to handle it differently. You're going to treat it differently. If you really trust it, you're maybe even going to take it a couple of feet from a child's face, because you have this sense of safety. This surgery is also dangerous for the animal, because anytime a reptile has to be anesthetized, it is much more dangerous for them. The mortality rate is much higher than it is for mammals and even birds. This video from the Columbus Zoo shows what that looks like. In this clip, the surgery was necessary due to one of this rattlesnake's venom glands continuing to get impacted, and to prevent infection, it had to be removed. Sometimes, as part of the surgery, a silicone implant will be put in place of the gland. Without it, the snake's head would appear sunken and misshapen. There is also evidence to suggest that part of the function of a snake's venom is to aid in digestion. I know there are some who will argue that, but there is a documented scientific study that does seem to point to the fact that a lot of venomous species do use the venom to aid in digestion. And there's a link to that study below if you're really interested in that. So back to Scott. If it's so difficult to find someone who will perform this surgery, how does he have so many different species of snakes, and so many of these that are venomoids? Well, as he proudly states, he does the surgery himself.
The water moccasin, also known as the cottonmouth. Snake has two names. Oh, if you haven't heard yet, my snakes do not have their venom anymore. No poison. I do a surgery on their head, anesthetize them and take their venom glands out. But they still have big teeth called venom. So once you get to stay behind this white line, now this is the line of death. Do not cross that. Mambas are deadly. I have one in my zoo, but I took his venom glands out. My snakes don't have their venom anymore. I've been chased by one snake in my life.
And which one was it?
The world's most aggressive snake. It's the African black forest cobra. And it's just the really big males. But I had a 10-foot forest cobra. He was the meanest snake I've ever had. So one day I took him outside and I just set him free.
According to an interview with the Seattle Times, Scott also had this to say. The day we get them, I anesthetize them and we just remove the venom glands. They still have fangs and I do get bit occasionally. And then on a virtual tour of his zoo for the Mid-Columbia libraries, he reiterates this as he talks about his king cobra and his black mamba that he is also now bringing to shows.
There he is. Come on, buddy. Ooh. You see him open his mouth there? That's a warning. He's saying, leave me alone. I might bite you. But he doesn't have his venom. He doesn't have his venom anymore. All our snakes are devenomized. So that's a cobra. Thanks, Isaac. This snake has probably bitten me about 3 times, but I hardly felt anything.
So he's been bitten 3 times by this black mamba, and he's still bringing it to an elementary school in the very near future, along with a rattlesnake, a king cobra, and several other venomous snakes, who, yes, are venomoids who have had the surgery done by Scott himself. But still, there is one more thing that I want to touch on that confuses me and bothers me about this show. This is Lucy, Petersen's puppy dog tame fainting alligator. She steals the show, being held by children and placed on people's heads for selfies. You may think this is maybe a 3-year-old alligator, but there are videos from 2007 of Lucy the alligator being the exact same size, doing the exact same tricks as she is today, 16 years later. meaning that Lucy is severely stunted. She should have reached full adult length a decade ago, which makes me wonder if he is intentionally physically altering his other animals to make them more manageable. Is he doing the same thing with Lucy? Did he do the same thing with Lucy? Did he intentionally stunt her for that purpose? The other thing that bothers me is this trick that he performs with her at all of his shows, and has for 16 years at least.
But Lucy's going to do another trick. This alligator will now go to sleep on the count of 3.
But first, she's going to sit up. That was very funny, Lucy. Now, please sit. Sit. Good. Lucy, on 3, you go sleep. Okay. 1. Again, not yet.
All right, they don't count very good. But it's quite simple to make them go to sleep. Here's how it works. When you push down on the eyes, their blood pressure drops and they pass out.
I just rub her eyes once or twice. It doesn't take very much. Just sit. Good. You just give her a row. There, one row.
She stayed asleep an hour, but don't try that on a big one. They have to be calm for that to work.
Now, what is actually going on here? He says that she loses consciousness when he touches her eyes because her blood pressure drops. He says this twice. He has her lose consciousness twice during every show. And the first time, he never touches her face. Not at all. That's consistent in every show I've watched. He does the countdown, and she passes out. It's only after he has her lose consciousness the second time, once he explains what happens, that he touches her face. So what is actually going on here? Why is she passing out? She's obviously stunted. She should have been 9 feet long 10 years ago, and instead she's looking more like 3. So this animal is clearly not in good health, in my opinion. Petersen claims that he's had her since she was a baby, and that he watches TV with her in his house. She's not in the zoo, she's the pet. But something about this part of the show really bothers me, and if anybody has any thoughts on to why this behavior is happening with Lucy, please comment down below, because I'm not understanding it. There's another report or another interview that he did in 2018 where he said that Lucy is 6 years old, which would mean that she was born in 2012. And yet we have a video from 2007 of Lucy performing the same trick that she performed in every show since then to this day. Are there multiple Lucys, maybe? I don't know. It just doesn't really line up for me. Okay, so what I've shown you here is the sensational and controversial stuff. Outside of this, the education program provided by Scott, April, and Isaac is very informative, and for over 20 years has gotten a lot of people interested in reptiles. They are also responsible for rehoming hundreds of unwanted animals. Yes, there is a lot to process and digest here. Bringing venomous snakes into elementary schools and kids' birthdays, the ethics and efficacy of venomoid surgery, releasing a snake into the wild after taking away its primary form of defense, and God only knows where it was released. Was it released in its native habitat? That I don't know. Whatever is going on with Lucy, and also all the really good things that their show has done. Do I think it is incredibly fascinating seeing somebody interact with a king cobra or a gaboon viper in the same way that they would a ball python? Heck yes! That is so cool. Do I think you can get to know an animal better and see more of its personality if you're not worried about it killing you? Of course. It does take educating to the next level. But what is the cost? Mutilating an animal to have it better suit our purposes? Telling the wide-eyed kid that's looking up at you as you cradle a gaboon viper like a baby, do as I say, not as I do, and hoping that he won't just walk out in the backyard and pick up a rattlesnake. Having so much faith in your at-home DIY surgery that you've never been trained for, that you're willing to bet the safety of other people's 7-year-old children that you got it right, 100% right, 100% of the time. Are those risks worth taking? I don't think they are. What I want to come from this, at the very least, is that April and Isaac, who are carrying on their father's passion for these animals, make the forward-facing and necessary changes to their educational program to get the program up to date. I hope that Scott does too, but his show hasn't changed much at all for the last 20 years. And I feel like that's going to be a harder thing to accomplish. I feel like that would just be more difficult for him on a personal level. Anyway, as I said, there's a lot to process in this video. Let me know what you think down below. Again, I'm so tired that I'm so sorry. It says it right there. I'm so sorry that I'm so tired. I'm going to try to get some sleep tonight, try to get to a place I need to be. But I couldn't wait on this video. It's already coming in late, and I really wanted to get this out to you. So again, let me know what you think down below. Hopefully the negative feedback leads to a positive outcome. Remember to be kind to yourselves and each other. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.